And welcome to King 5 Plus. I'm Greg Copeland. This is the week. A look at what made headlines in our region along with your weekend forecast. First up, a homeless encampment sweep called off by Seattle's new mayor, Katie Wilson. It's a move that could signal a shift in how homelessness is handled in the city. King 5's Christian Balderas reports.
At Northwest 41st Street and Burt Gilman Trail, this homeless encampment is small, but for some,
it's not civilized.
It's a big problem
for us to allow other human beings to live like that.
About 10 to 15 people live here.
It's just like a spot that's away from everything.
Danielle is one of them. She's been homeless for 10 years, moving from site to site after previous sweeps from other encampments.
They'll just grab whatever and start throwing it away.
The city planned to clear this encampment too. It's been cleared multiple times before. This homeless encampment used to be larger. A few years ago, the city installed these concrete blocks along the entire road here to discourage camping. Now, new Mayor Katie Wilson stopped by to visit and canceled the sweep after homeless advocate Bruce Drager reached out through the mayor's online contact form.
I would have never in a million years thought that she would come out here.
Drager argues homeless sweeps rarely work.
Most of these individuals have been swept probably once a month over the last couple of years.
City data shows Seattle's homelessness population has increased about 26% from 2022 to 2024 and is an issue Mayor Wilson ran on during her campaign. She declined to answer questions about her decision, but in a statement said, "I decided to extend the deadline for this site to allow more time to assess whether we can improve outcomes for people living there, for their neighbors, and for local businesses."
That's wonderful. That would be an answered prayer.
Some neighbors and nearby workers say they think that's a mistake, often citing concerns like safety, drug use, and cleanliness. But Drager says it signals possible change with the new mayor.
I'm very optimistic, and you're talking to a guy that's very rarely been optimistic about government.
Danielle, on the other hand, is ready to relocate like she's done constantly for the past decade.
I'm always ready for bull. I don't ever unpack a bag. I keep a bag ready for bull.
In Seattle, Christian Balderas, King 5 News.
Well, a major closure is now in place on I-5 over Seattle's Ship Canal Bridge, and that's expected to slow traffic for months. King 5's Drew Andre is tracking the situation for drivers and what they can expect.
Well, the weekend-long closure is now over, but we have started the just 2 lanes being open in the northbound lanes. As you can see here, there are already crews that are starting to get out there and work on those 2 left lanes that are going to be closed for most of the rest of the year. This map here shows that stretch of roadway that is shrinking down to 2 lanes along the Ship Canal Bridge heading northbound. Those left 2 lanes will remain closed until the FIFA World Cup in June, and then after a little pause, we'll start again once the World Cup's over. Also until June, the express lanes will point north 24 hours a day, so be aware. Even when you're going the opposite direction, you're probably going to experience delays because the express lanes will not reverse. That's something we already are seeing this morning. But WashDOT says that these changes are necessary. The I-5 Ship Canal Bridge opened back in 1962. There hasn't been a repave since the 80s. WashDOT says when everything is complete by the end of 2027, it will be a much smoother drive along here. Until then, though, officials went as far as saying last week that they're encouraging businesses to let employees arrive before 7 a.m. or after 10 to avoid rush hour. That will be worse over the next several months and really through the rest of the year. As we come back out here, you can see some of those crews starting to work. That's what it's going to look like just about every day. Transit agencies, too, like Sound Transit, said that they also are going to be adding some more lines just to help out commuters. Reporting in Seattle, I'm Drew Andre, King 5 News.
Well, not guilty on all counts. A federal jury has cleared a man accused of assaulting ICE agents during an arrest on Camano Island last summer. Despite that verdict, he remains in custody. His family says the ruling brings relief, but the fight is not over yet. King 5 Sebastian Robertson was live in Skagit County with that story.
When Victor Vivanco Reyes' family learned he'd been detained by immigration officers, they were heartbroken. When they learned he was being charged with assault on officers, they were in disbelief. Now, more than 7 months later, a jury sided with them.
I felt like a huge weight was lifted off of my chest. This was the best possible outcome that we could have wished for. And I felt like 12 other people saw what we saw and what we know to be true.
These pictures released by the government stem from a June 6 encounter in which federal agents attempted to arrest Vivanco Reyes while he was working as a landscaper. Prosecutors allege the 25-year-old used a truck as a dangerous weapon while trying to escape, but defense attorneys say he was simply trying to get away and did not intend to injure anyone. A longtime family friend and pastor says Vivanco Reyes posed no threat to anyone.
Baffling when terrifying and aggressive forces that are trained with weapons and armor claim to be afraid or in danger when they're coming around a 140-pound young man on heart medicine.
According to court documents, Vivanco Reyes had a previous felony conviction in 2019 and a misdemeanor conviction in 2014. The DOJ says this formed the basis for an immigration warrant issued in May.
From my point of view, I think they were trying to make him look like just this cold-blooded individual that had no care for anybody in the world. And what made it difficult for me was that he was he is the complete opposite.
Tonight, the new father remains in immigration detention in Tacoma. His family is hopeful there's a path for him to stay in the country.
To have a jury come and acquit him on all charges, it feels like not just Victor, it feels like the community is wanting to push back against this narrative.
That was Sebastian Robertson reporting. An ICE arrest caught on camera in Redmond is rattling neighbors and raising some new questions about transparency and trust. Community members say masked federal agents have left people fearful and unsure of who is operating in their neighborhoods. King 5 immigration reporter Sharon Yu was in Redmond with those calls for change.
The ICE arrest was captured by someone who was walking along this trail that runs parallel to this alley. They were able to look over the fence and see that ICE agents took one man into custody in this alley. This is video of an ICE arrest a Redmond resident took on Sunday. One of the ICE agents notices he's being filmed and covers his face with a neck gaiter. Agents cuff a man in a black hat and load him into a car before driving off. This happened in an alley only visible from a pedestrian trail that runs parallel to it near Redmond Center. The video deeply disturbed Woodinville City Council member Michelle Evans.
It really made me start taking a look and say, okay, what can we do?
Evans started the No Secret Police Act, a petition calling for stronger rules requiring all law enforcement officers, including federal agents, to clearly identify themselves.
We can't have unmarked vehicles, basically kidnapping people off the street.
Some of this is currently being tackled in the legislature in Olympia.
Before you is Senate Bill 5855 concerning face coverings by law enforcement officers.
Currently, there are no rules preventing ICE agents from covering their faces during operations. Democratic Senator Javier Valdez is the chief sponsor of the bill.
I believe it'll make our marginalized and immigrant communities feel safer.
Opponents of the bill say this endangers the safety of ICE agents and that states can't rule over the federal government.
That control is retained by the United States. That's been longstanding principle since the 1800s.
Evans says her petition is to put even more pressure on state lawmakers to act faster.
It's a very short session this year, and they really have to focus on budget. So I'm trying to see if we can get more momentum because taking up this full bill would take a lot of time.
Both the Senate and the House had hearings on the face covering bills. Further discussion is scheduled for later this week. In Redmond, Sharon Yu, King 5 News.
When we come back, the race to save new puppies after a possible fentanyl encounter. Spoiler, it ends well. First, though, Perella Lewis has a look at the weekend forecast right after this.
Well, hi there, Perella Lewis, giving you a quick update as to what you can expect heading into the weekend and beyond. And I will say there have been a couple changes since yesterday and even earlier today. So let's get you caught up. First thing that hasn't changed, sunny skies will continue through this weekend. Yes, we had a lot of sunshine today. We're going to get a lot more tomorrow and Sunday, even into Monday. Now, this near record dry stretch, I'm going to talk a lot about this here in a second. Clouds and rain will return next week. The question is when next week? It looks like the timing of that potential has been pushed back, and that's why our record dry stretch could be in question. We'll take a look. Currently, the setup is this ridge of high pressure. That's sinking air. Look at that. We've got very clear conditions all across the West Coast. That is courtesy of that high pressure. So tomorrow, if you're heading to the Seahawks game, here is an updated forecast. Well, look at that. Tailgating, sunny, football weather, low to mid 40s, depending on when you get out there. Kickoff time at 5 p.m. Temperatures will have fallen from the daytime high of 51 to the upper 40s. As you're driving home, you've got dry pavement, dry, clear, and cold conditions. Right here in the center, that ridge of high pressure, very much in control. Now, this is all weekend long. It's going to be almost on top of us as we go into Saturday, Sunday. And then as we go into the early part of next week, notice that bullseye down here really starts to shift to the south a little bit, but it isn't completely gone. It kind of migrates out to the west as it's dying down. That's important because our incoming systems coming from the west might be eroded away. So earlier we were thinking maybe we can get some rain Wednesday, Thursday, but the system that would be coming from that direction may be forced away by that ridge of high pressure. So our dry stretch could be prolonged. Earlier we were thinking maybe dry through Tuesday. That would give us 7 dry days in a row. That would be the longest stretch since January. The record is 12 days. That happened back in the 1940s. So for us to have dry consecutive 12 days at this point, it would take us through next weekend. I don't think that'll happen, but we may come close within a day or two of that record stretch. First, let's get back to this weekend. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures in the low 50s. We've gone up a degree or two for our daytime highs, but those overnight lows are still going to be chilly. Many of us will be freezing, or at least in the mid 30s, kind of back to those frost conditions. As we take a look at Monday, MLK Day, so many events to get out there and enjoy and look at all that sunshine. Temperatures still hovering in the upper 40s to right around 50 for most. In Everett, the march and rally. We've got MLK Jr. birthday celebration in Tacoma, March for Peace and Kindness, that is for the youth in Bainbridge Island. And just a reminder, you can get into all Washington state parks free on Monday. That's right, it's a holiday, so you can choose to get out and enjoy some sunshine that way. Here we go. Tomorrow, a lot of sunshine once again. It'll be a repeat of today. Isolated fog in the morning, fewer and fewer of us impacted as those soils dry out. We've also got some good wind that's going to kind of force some of that mixing in. As we go into Monday, there you go, still more sunshine. Let's run these computer models here. 0 chance for rain, zero drop in the bucket as we go into Monday and Tuesday. So no big changes there. But again, looks like we could stay dry, maybe even a little bit further down the road. Let's take a look at this kind of day by day. Now tomorrow, low 50s. We know that. Low to mid 50s on Sunday. I mean, you add a couple of degrees and that just gets better and better to get out and about. As we go into Monday, partly cloudy skies. Now Tuesday, Wednesday, I do think we'll begin to see a few increasing clouds as that ridge of high pressure starts to back up a little bit. But earlier we could have had, a little bit of rain, maybe a couple drops in the bucket Wednesday, Thursday. This is now in question because that ridge of high pressure, as it breaks down, it wants to hang on a little bit longer. This is a very rare, strong ridge of high pressure. So if that happens, well, we might get a few extra clouds and that would lower our daytime highs heading into Wednesday, Thursday, but it might give us a prolonged period of dry stretch. By the way, if we stay dry, meaning no measurable rainfall officially out at SeaTac through Friday, that would be the driest stretch of weather since August. So we're talking about summertime dry, not summertime temperatures, but summertime dry. And then if we continue into Saturday or Sunday, that would tie for the all-time record dry stretch in January. That remains to be seen. Again, all of this still a little bit ways away, but it's something that we are watching. And of course, we will keep you updated. In the meantime, hopefully you get out and enjoy lots of sunshine this holiday weekend.
All right, welcome back to The Week. A trusted school leader is now at the center of a serious criminal case. The principal of Bainbridge High School is charged with DUI, accused of driving with her 12-year-old son in the car. The school district is now responding. King 5's Bridget Chavez has more.
The superintendent tells us the principal is on paid administrative leave. Meanwhile, associate principals are stepping in here while the district figures out what comes next. Police say they stopped Christina Rogers in Poulsbo on Monday night after clocking her going more than 15 miles over the speed limit. The arresting officer described the smell of alcohol, along with slurred speech and bloodshot eyes. At first, Rogers refused to do any roadside tests, but after being arrested, she did agree to a breathalyzer. Court records showed those results were .069 and .070, just under the legal limit. She is now charged with DUI and driving with a suspended license.
When we do determine what next steps need to occur, it would be in consultation with district leadership and with our legal counsel, and ensuring that we're following, our established procedures, as well as obviously state law.
We did try to reach Rogers today. We knocked on her door and left voicemails, but have not yet heard back. On Bainbridge Island, Bridget Chavez, King 5 News.
Well, tragedy in the backcountry as two friends were swept away and killed in an avalanche. Two other friends survived. This happened in the area around Longs Pass in Kittitas County, just north of Cle Elum, right on the southern edge of the Enchantments. Eric Wilkinson brings us the latest from the Northwest Avalanche Center in Sandpoint.
Photos from the Kittitas County Sheriff's Office show search crews working to rescue and recover four friends who went backcountry skiing Friday. An avalanche hit around 6,200 feet. Only two people made it out alive.
There's nothing about what we've seen so far has indicated that there was any recklessness on anybody's part. Terrible things sometimes happen.
The friends were skiing near Longs Pass at the northern tip of Kittitas County, 10 miles deep in the backcountry, accessible only by snowmobile or helicopter. They're all said to be experienced and well-trained. Things were going fine until one man took his third run of the day.
One of the gentlemen took his first turn. It broke the snowpack loose, and an avalanche was created that took all four men down. It was happenstance.
This was the second fatal incident in our mountains in 2 days. Last Thursday, a 27-year-old man crashed headfirst into a snow-covered creek while snowboarding at Stevens Pass. He suffocated. In this case, search and rescue crews traversed some of the toughest terrain in the Cascades. The only thing that saved the two survivors, their satellite 911 communication system.
This was some of the same terrain that we were searching for Travis Decker, remote, rugged, steep mountains. And when you cover those with snow, it becomes even more challenging.
This winter came late. The ski season pushed back weeks because of warm rainstorms. Skiers are eager to get outdoors, with 2 to 4 feet of snow falling in the mountains last week. But those dream conditions can come with major risks.
The mountains have got an amazing amount of snow over the past week, and combining all that snow with the wind over the past few days, we've created some, uniquely dangerous avalanche conditions.
Authorities urging all backcountry lovers to weigh the risks with the thrills.
It's tragic and random, and we feel for their families.
The two survivors were not seriously injured. Meantime, experts from here at the Northwest Avalanche Center at Sand Point have been out to that scene analyzing it to see if there is anything they can learn from it. In Seattle, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
Moviegoers flooded the historic Varsity Theater in Seattle's U District this week after learning it would close for good on Friday. King 5's Jim Nelson was there.
A landmark as iconic as it is historic.
Student tickets, student IDs.
The Varsity Theater has entertained the U District for more than 80 years.
Oh, God, I love movie theater butter, even if it is real butter.
Operations manager Janet Mulcahy has been involved since 2016.
Just watch it rise up.
And now, the fall. The final curtain on this cozy throwback to a bygone era.
And I walk into theaters now, and there's sometimes just 1 or 2 people in the theater, and it breaks my heart.
A symptom of Hollywood trending towards streaming.
Worldwide, we're all suffering from that.
It's the last movie theater in the U District, the lone survivor of a once thriving, film-loving community.
I like that it's close by and it's pretty small, so it's never crowded. Yeah.
As word got out, the party started.
Whenever we were a little bit bored, we'd come down here. It's a pretty cute, nostalgic movie theater, so we have great memories.
The Varsity reeled in generations of movie buffs, hosted first dates and family outings.
Sitting at home, I've done it myself, watching a movie, cannot compare to that screen. That screen, the vibration of the sound around you, the acoustics of the building, the smell of the popcorn, which you guys noticed when you walked in. You're like, oh my God, it smells so good. I mean, these are things you can't create at home.
Not unlike some of the dramatic films that grace the silver screen here, this story doesn't have a happy ending.
It hurts to see them dying.
But there is no shortage.
It hurts.
Of happy memories.
Well, firefighters in Snohomish County are being credited with saving a litter of puppies from a suspected fentanyl overdose. They were brought to a fire station in Gold Bar where crews gave them Narcan. All 6 puppies are now recovering as authorities investigate. King 5's Madison Wade spoke with one of those firefighters who helped to save them.
You wouldn't know it by looking at these puppies.
You are a feisty one.
That a little more than 24 hours ago, their lives were hanging on by a thread.
All unconscious, not moving at all, not making a peep.
On Sunday in Gold Bar, 2 people started banging on the Station 54 door to help 3 puppies that were unresponsive.
We figured that it was most likely due to some type of overdose.
The firefighters on scene immediately gave the little puppies Narcan nasal spray.
After about three doses, they all stayed awake and started jumping around and playing and having a good time in the firehouse.
All right, this guy right here, guys, this is Suboxone.
But the rescue was far from over. The sheriff's office responded to the home where the puppies came from and found 3 more needing immediate medical care.
We just had to keep giving them oxygen until that Narcan kicked in.
Sky Valley Fire has Narcan in every medical kit.
So we can either give this as a shot in an IV or this little device will allow us to put it in the nasal passage.
That instinctual knowledge to use Narcan saved these puppies, who are all now in the care of the Everett Animal Shelter. And on Monday, the firefighters paid the puppies a visit.
Oh, it was awesome. They were so happy and playing and jumping around and playing with toys.
An incredible outcome for these small siblings, saved from a scary situation.
A lot of people are asking if these puppies will be up for adoption. Right now, we are at the Everett Animal Shelter, and the most important thing is to make sure that these puppies are okay. So once we know if they're going to be up for adoption, we'll be sure to let you know.
In Everett, Madison Wade, King 5 News.
All glad they're doing well. Thank you for your time. We hope you enjoyed a look at the biggest stories of the week.